Canucks Army's list of buy low candidates have us analyzing one acquisition that would fit perfectly in Vancouver, as we know the Canucks have more moves to make before the trade deadline, and a recent stat shows the Canucks may have traded the right guy away despite the polarized reaction. We're going to be breaking down all of that in this episode of Canucks Digest, but first make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any updates surrounding the Canucks, as we hopefully have some more wins to talk about when we get back from the Four Nations face-off. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is pontificating on Pageau. So, Canucks Army put out a list of 10 interesting buy low candidates the Canucks could target, ranging from 1-year rentals to RFAs to guys with term. And as much as the Canucks don't want to do rentals, we didn't look at any of those ones, but one that jumped out to us is one that we're going to look at here, and that is Jean-Gabriel Pageau, playing for the New York Islanders. He's been in the league a long time. He is a center. He's 32 years old, 5'11", 181 pounds, currently on a 2-year, $5 million a year contract. And when looking at his production for 2025 this year, of all the players on this list, points production, he is the best one by far. Not a lot of the guys even had more than 15 points really, but in 52 games, he has 10 goals, 17 assists for 27 points, 108 hits. He's 60% in the face-off circle, which is something the Canucks definitely need. His top speed is below 50%, 62% on 20-plus bursts. And then you have, looking at the stats as well there, his goals for expectations is still pretty decent. And then the differential there at negative 9.54. But when looking at the details as to why he would be a good fit on the Canucks, he's having a bit of a resurgence. Pageau is on pace to return to his typical 40-point season. While not tall and rather slight, he throws his body around. Two things the Canucks definitely need: point scoring and hitting as well. Pageau is an ace on the faceoff circle as well, the stereotypically coveted right-handed center teams yearn for. His shooting percentage is at career norms, but his XG, his differential, is in the negatives. With a few more favorable bounces, he'd have a career season statistically. Last season, he was viewed as a negative value asset, and while he's rebuilt some of that, he's now a year older. He should still come at no cost or an asset attached. Could be very useful, a very useful player in the right situation. Now, looking at his stats as well, he's had a very long career in this league. He's played over 10 plus years. He's definitely learned the right to be that veteran presence the Canucks need in the locker room. And not only that, he could be one of those fillers for JT Miller. Is he going to bring the passion that JT Miller brought to the Canucks? Probably not. But is he going to bring production? Absolutely. Is he going to throw the body? Absolutely. Is he going to win faceoffs in the faceoff circle when we need them? Absolutely. He's over 50%, 60% in the faceoff circle. That's some efficiency the Canucks definitely need, because since JT Miller left, our faceoff circle has not been as productive or as efficient as it was when he was there. I know we're somehow winning these faceoff battles just a little bit in the percentage on overall games, but in key moments, we want to tip that differential as more of a 60-40 rather than splitting it 51-49 and just being very close there. We want to dominate the faceoff circle so that we can dominate offensive zone chances and make sure that we don't give up defensive zone chances as well off of the draws. We've seen many goals happen on the Canucks in the past 2 seasons, or season and a half alone, I should say, where right off the draw, teams are scoring on us, exposing us from a distance through traffic, getting a deflection, and we want to limit those things as well. With Kevin Lankinen, it hasn't been too much of a problem, but with Artur Shilov's last year, it definitely was a big problem because through traffic was his biggest weakness. I know he's not starting goalie right now or even the backup goalie, but those are still things the Canucks need to address and need to fix. Face-off circle, that's something that we definitely need, and we know the Canucks need another center to bolster this down. With the centers that we have, they're solid, but we're not going to go on a deep playoff run with the centers that we have. With Pageau in here, I think that gives us a really good chance, not only in the face-off circle and winning those key battles, but like we've seen with his points production, he's on pace to get back to his 40-point production. That's something the Canucks definitely want. His hits as well. He's got triple-digit hits already. He's able to throw the body, and he's fast. He's not as big as other guys, but still being able to be faster and throw the body is a great asset. So there's a lot of things here where the Canucks can have something to work with. Yes, he does come with term. He did fall into that category where on that list they had 1-year rentals, RFAs, and guys with term. He is a guy with term. However, that term isn't too expensive. $5 million a year. They can afford to do that, I think, especially with the pieces that they have in there as well. So there's something here where the Canucks have a lot of space to work with and a guy that could be there for a few more years. Is he going to be someone you lock down long term? Absolutely not. These are short-term cap-friendly deals that you can bring him in on. He's Canadian. He's a veteran. He's got a lot of efficiency. There's a lot of things that are very appealing for this Vancouver Canucks team to bring him in and be that center that they need to fill in that gap. And as well, with all the production that he has, when we were looking at a lot of the guys on this list, not a lot of them put up the production that he put up or had the upside that he seems to have. Veteran presence, lots of points, face-off circle. Like I said, all these intangibles that are really good to have. But then the veteran presence as well, having all of those is a big thing. And yes, we lost that with JT Miller. People can say what they want on both sides of the argument with the JT Miller situation. However, with that, we did lose a big void there, as not only with his passion, his leadership, but also the veteran presence and that efficiency in the faceoff circle. Is Pageau going to be that perfect fill-in for that gap? I don't think he'll be the perfect fill-in. However, I think he would be perfect on this Canucks team and would go a long way towards repairing that. But what do you guys think down in the comments below? Do you guys like the idea of Pageau coming to Vancouver, or would you pass on him and go for another guy? But with him being a buy low candidate, I think that's something very appealing for the Canucks. But what do you guys think down in the comments? Let us know. But that's going to take us into our second topic of the day, which is the JT Miller aftermath. And this is where it's going to get a little interesting. Because yes, although Elias Pettersson has not really stepped up in the absence of Miller, or even in the current Four Nations face-off tournament for that matter, the completed trade is still turning out to be a good move for Vancouver. Elias Pettersson has recorded just 1.4 games, while Miller has excelled with the Rangers, tallying 2 goals and 2 assists over the same period. However, the Vancouver Canucks as a whole, since trading Miller, 3 wins, 0 losses in regulation, and 1 overtime loss. 59.83 xGFF percentage, which is 4th in the NHL in that 4-game span. Not only that, but they shut out Colorado 3-0. They beat down Toronto 2-1. I know the first period was very exciting, then it kind of died out for the last 2 periods, but they still were able to get the win. They don't ask how, they ask how many. Hronek as well is at a point per game, finally getting back up to that production that we needed him to get at. And the biggest caveat with this is Quinn Hughes has been injured the entire time. And this is a team where without Quinn Hughes, we are usually so depleted and so yearning to have him back because we can't get anything going and he just carries us. But with him gone in that 4-game absence, we haven't lost in regulation. We still got a point on that overtime loss. Hronek has been producing. We beat 2 really good teams. We're having a great expected goals percentage. So this is things where Vancouver, as much as things are crazy right now and as much of it can be a dumpster fire at times and inconsistent and a little bit stressful for fans, this is something where there's some good things in there. There's some silver linings in what the inconsistencies Vancouver's been having this year. We're still above 500. We're still chasing that playoff spot. We're still in a fairly decent spot where we're going to have guys get healthy after this tournament break. If we had games during this, I know this would usually be the All-Star break, so we would have this break anyways, but it's coming at a perfect time for the Canucks because Thatcher Demko will be fully healthy. Kevin Lankinen will be wanting to rebound after Finland's disappointing result in the tournament. And then you have Quinn Hughes coming back at full health. Pettersson, if things didn't get going in this tournament for him, hopefully he can bring something back to Vancouver and we can see some efficiency or see him get something going here. Tocchet as well. If Canada pulls off this win at the tournament, Tocchet's going to come back with a much more winning mentality, and maybe he learned some things from John Cooper instead of just dump and chase hockey that he can bring to Vancouver where, hey, now we can win some games in the ways that we want. We don't want, if fans don't expect us to win them, I should say, is that fans usually say, hey, we're going to get up to an early lead. We're going to try and hold off a comeback. Usually that doesn't always work out. And we're just going to play dump and chase hockey and try and kill time. That's something Vancouver cannot continue to have going forward, especially if we want to have a playoff run. So if Tocchet took notes from John Cooper and brought that over to Vancouver, great. Elias Pettersson, if he has legs underneath him after a disappointing tournament, great. Quinn Hughes being back at full health, amazing. Thatcher Demko coming back at full health, amazing. And with all this happening, everyone was talking about how they reacted to the JT Miller trade, saying we traded the wrong guy. It should have been Petey, or people being very upset about JT Miller being gone. Yes, honestly, I am one of those people who's upset that JT Miller is gone. But looking at this stat and looking at how Vancouver has performed in the 4 games since he's been gone, hasn't been overly too bad. It's been pretty decent. Hasn't been a dumpster fire like people were expecting it to be when he left, thinking that, okay, we lost our entire spirit of our team. No. It seems like while Petey hasn't been able to get going, the team around him has still been able to succeed. And maybe that's the bigger picture here. Maybe with all of this talk and all this drama where it was between JT Miller and Elias Pettersson, nobody was talking about the effect that it had on the team as a whole. No one was talking about how it was affecting guys like Connor Garland, Kiefer Sherwood, Kevin Lankinen, Tyler Myers, Carson Soucy, Dakota Joshua, all these guys. they're also on this roster. So when there's drama between two guys, you still have other teammates on your team that are going to be casualties of that. They're going to face some of it as well. Maybe they weren't feeling the full wrath of JT Miller that Elias Pettersson was feeling, but guys were probably feeling it a little bit, or the pressure, or just the toxicity that might have been in the locker room with him there. But with him gone, it seems like the locker room is breathing a little bit easier, and the only person that needs to get back to focus is Elias Pettersson. Hopefully he's able to do that coming back from this tournament, and hopefully the Canucks can keep piling up the wins, as we are very excited to get back from this Four Nations face-off break. But in the meantime, we do have very exciting matchups coming our way where Canada is going to be in the final of the Four Nations face-off. Hopefully we get that revenge against the Americans on American ice at the TD Garden. So Thursday is going to be an interesting game. I know a lot of Canadians, every Canadian is just going to be glued to the television watching it. So that's going to be very exciting. And what's going to be even more exciting is how the Vancouver Canucks react to coming back after this break. But what do you guys think on the Canucks after they come back from this break? What do you guys think will be the record of their first 5 games back from the break? Put it down in the comments. Let us know down below. If you guys are the closest coming off of this, we'll give you guys a shout out in the next comment of the day coming off of that 5-game stretch. But with that, I've been your host, Griffin. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you don't miss the new episodes when they drop. But that's been this episode of Canucks Digest. Take care.